What's going on? What's going on? All right, tonight we got Brunswick, 4-1 Brunswick, and 3-2 Cleveland Heights at Heights tonight. Overall, um, overall these schools are 5-3. Brunswick is 5-3, and Cleveland Heights is 3-5. Um, Brunswick is a pretty decent team. Um, So in the conference, they're 4-1, um, and I think that if they play it right, if they do what they're supposed to do, I think they could come out on top. Um, but they're definitely going to have to be disciplined. Um, Cleveland Heights is not so disciplined. They got a lot of young guys. A lot of those guys didn't play last year, particularly the offensive line. And their defensive line didn't play last year. Their secondary is pretty decent. You have um, Henry in the back, number two, um, and he's probably the only one back there that really has experience that played with the team last season. The majority of those guys have not played. Um, so when we're talking about experience, I know Brunswick has a lot of experience. The difference is, do they have that dog in them? So that's going to be the particular, um, the way that, depending on how everything pans out for them. Um, but they're definitely going to have some dog in them tonight. Um, Cleveland Heights is going to play undisciplined. Cleveland Heights is not going to be, they're not going to come out in the first half and they're not going to put up a whole bunch of points. They're a second half team. They have to be fired up. But the difference is if you can take the fight from them early and you can put up 21, 28 points in the first half and limit their long passing game with Sir Gibson, they will be, you could really take the fight out of them. Um, they're not a team that's going to fight back. Um, so they're very undisciplined when it comes to personal fouls. Um, so you got to limit your personal fouls. You got to limit again going back and forth with penalties with them. You have to show them that you came to play. Um, and again, I'm going to say it for the eighth week in a row. You got to play them and make their offensive line try to win battles, which they're not. Cleveland Heights offensive line is not that experienced. One, they do not listen. Two, they're small. So if you lined up D tackles at center, guard, and then had your ends at a 4-eye, coming off the edge with linebackers running the gaps once everybody is once everybody engages, and you have your linebackers running gaps between A and B gaps, you'll be very productive. Even if you did YX blitz with them, so you send one linebacker A gap and you loop one to the outside, you'll contain that run. Um, you gotta hit Elijah Harris. You gotta hit him. He will fumble the ball. And as far as um, the quarterback, um, he's decent. He can't really throw the ball. He's not really a thrower, but he will get out there and run. He can throw on the run, but he has to be going towards the line of scrimmage. He has plenty of weaknesses. Um, And once you go after them legs, he's not going to be able to withstand it. He gets hurt a lot. So he's a quarterback that you can shake up, but your defense has to be coming, um, and your defensive line has to win battles. Your linebackers got to be good, filling the holes. You really got to be reading that triangle. Um, the linebackers really got to be able to read that triangle, um, with that middle linebacker being at that point of that triangle, and he has to be able to get downhill super quick. If you can get those guys to move that way, I think Brunswick can beat them at home. It just depends on, you know, so far, you know, they're really undisciplined. They get a lot of penalties. They get a lot of personal foul penalties, and I understand why. You know, you got to keep them out of that personal foul area. And how you do that is that you have to constantly put pressure on that center. Put pressure on their center. Their center does not move very well, um, and because he plays both ways, they have a lot of kids playing both ways. So um, at the beginning of the game, you know, he may be getting out the box a little bit quicker as far as the center goes, but their left tackle is their weakness. One, he doesn't keep his shoulders square. Um, I used to coach at Cleveland Heights, so I know these kids. He doesn't keep his shoulders square. He doesn't. He's not aggressive. And one, he doesn't like the contact. Um, but I think they're probably their best um, offensive lineman is number 50. Um, he's aggressive and he'll come to play. But can you disrupt that offense? That offense is an inside outside zone offense, and they play off of big plays. So what you have to do is that you're going to have to play a lot of zone with them. Tampa two, um, Tampa two would really work with them because everything has to they 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 run in progressions. Once their running game is over with and they're not getting anywhere with it, they go to passing, and they're going to pass a lot. Um, but their inside outside zone is something that is really um, something that they have to work on. And one, that they don't have the personnel for it. They're going to try to go jumbo and put Dion and another kid in the back, off behind the tackle as a flanker, and they're going to try to run. That's the side they're going to run to. So if you're not feeling it, if you're not filling that gap, um, it's not going to work. So I think that, you know, can Brunswick beat them? Yes. Brunswick has a really good running game, and they are very disciplined. They pass the ball. They have some really good receivers, um, and they've shown that they can break a play open. So, you know, it's going to depend on who comes to show up. Um, can they come out the gate and win? They have to come out first drive and score. So, um, where you're going to get Cleveland Heights at is on their special teams. Their special teams is not really that good. They practice special team one time a week. They have some Their defense is not really that great, but they really have a really nice. They have a really good linebacker, number 22, John Morris. Um, he's really good. He can find the ball. He's a ball magnet when it comes to going downhill. Um, and he'll just scrape and grind and try to get there as much as he can. He's actually a running back too. And I think he's actually a really good running back. Only thing that's the issue with, again, that team and this person, John Morris, is the experience. If he had more experience and he played last year and he understands he'd be he'd be dominating. I like the young kid. I think that the kid is really talented. I think he has a lot of good things. I also think there's some things that he can work on. But outside of that, I think that Brunswick can beat them and blow them out. Um, Brunswick has to come with a different kind of they have to come with a different kind of game mindset. Um, but I think that Brunswick can beat them. I think that Brunswick can put up a lot of points. Um, can they play in a hostile environment? Can they overcome the adversities that they're going to have? Can they capitalize off of turnovers? Can they um, put pressure on the quarterback? Once you put pressure on that quarterback, that team falls apart. There's nothing else they can do. If you can keep that quarterback contained, it's going to look good. Um, they also do a lot of quarterback draws, um, quarterback quarterback ISOs. Um, those are the things that they do. The inside zone, um, it's it's decent, but it could be better. But I think that you have to really put pressure on a zone team. Period. And you have to make them win battles. And you have to expose the weak offensive lineman. Um, their right tackle is not so good. Um, is again first year player, basketball kid. I like him personally, um, but and then you have Amir Fitzpatrick. He's gonna play both sides. He's gonna come in occasionally, which he doesn't really want to play offense anyways. He's always made that known. But he's not really a good defensive kid either. Um, can he play? He can. Um, he doesn't work hard enough. Um, and I think that the only person that you really have to really watch out for is Sir Gibson. The defense is not gonna hold you to 0 points. Um, partly because of the defensive coordinator. They've had a lot of coaches quit as well. They've had Cleveland Heights. That is, Cleveland Heights had a lot of kids that has been in trouble. Um, they have kids that got in trouble for marijuana. You got kids that got kicked off the team. Um, particularly kids that they need. They need it. Um, so that's one of the kids that got kicked off the team was Donovan Spencer, because he didn't come to practice 3 days that week. But what's the difference when you know you have a team that doesn't really necessarily um, a lot of the kids don't practice. I mean, let's just go ahead and say it. You know, um, a few weeks ago, uh, Elijah Harris was out with a groin, and he didn't practice 3 days, and then he played on Friday. And he's not gonna take a whole bunch of hits. He's not in shape. Um, you'll see him; he'll be on the sideline stretching out because he's catching cramps. Um, and it's just, you know, one, they're not drinking water. Um, and you're doing other things. Cleveland Heights has had a bad season so far. They're very undisciplined. The coaches don't hold them accountable for anything. Um, and it's not so much it's the leadership. When your coach don't have leadership, um, you know, in this era, you're 30 years old. Um, you've been playing football, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll qualify as a coach, a head coach at that. Um, took a loss against Strongsville. I mean, this is just to show you, the kind of emotional, behavior the coaches have. I left because there was no accountability for the team. I left because a lot of things were not structured correctly. And I left because, you know, it was a difficult experience because no one was, one, being held accountable. Kids thought that they didn't have to come to practice. um, they didn't want to really come to practice. So kids came in July 28th, and the record shows it. We went to camp July 28th, and we ran sometimes, but they really wasn't running like they should have. Um, and I just didn't. That was one thing I didn't approve of. I didn't really like it. I've been a head coach before. Been a successful head coach. Um, so, a lot of times that you have to make examples out of people. And midway through the season is not the time to make examples out of nobody. Um, so, beginning of the season, somebody got caught with marijuana, got arrested, went to jail, then turn around, offensive line get caught stealing out of the CVS. You suspend four of them. Um, yeah, it's crazy. Um, I mean, you've kicked a bunch of kids off the team, you know, mid-season. That's not doing anything for the program. Plus, you were hired because your AD is your friend. Okay, but again, very undisciplined football team. Gotta have discipline. You have to. There's no other way around it, and you can say it however you want to say it and build it like you want to build it, but if you don't have offensive line, it's going to be very hard for you to do anything, as you see. Their record tells it. Um, are they a talented team? They are. Um, only in certain spots. So, we'll see, what the game brings tonight, and see and let's see how they do. You know, and we'll go from there. Anchor Podcast signing off.